of gangs as well, and your economy is doing better. So it tells you it's about your ability to manage. It's not just talking. It's not just using nice words. It's not just about using economic phrases, but it's about putting things in perspective and working it. We did say that we were going to renegotiate with our creditors and ask them. And people laugh. They say, but who's going to bother with you? Today we have saved this country as a government hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of negotiating. I recall, just quickly to pin that in. This government had an outstanding amount for the Taiwanese government. And it was money that was borrowed not even during the NNP era. You know. My understanding is that since the days when you had the TNP under Mr. Ben Jones, they got a loan. Probably part was paid and there was some refinancing or so. But that loan started way back then. We were servicing. And during the era of the NDC, the matter was taken to the courts. Remember? Just when NNP came in, just around that time, they wanted to garnish some of our earnings from the port and the ports. And so when the ships coming, they said, look, because a case was brought in New York, this government not only negotiated to have that court order disband, but we were able to get a reduction on interest and, of course, the amount we had to pay annually on the loan. So again, it's about who has the skills, who has the ability, who has the connection. And so in senior country going forward, we have given, and this government has spent more money on scholarship helping our young people, more than any other government. On an annual basis, millions of dollars. You can take the Imani again for an example. We had a new program, they disbanded the Imani and the brought. And over the 5-year period, I don't even show, and I don't want to be quoted, that the total number of people involved in that program didn't cross 1,000.
I could tell you that it didn't cross 2,000.
Okay.
I could give you the exact figures of how much they had on a yearly basis. I'll pull it up for you in a short while.
In a short while, right?
And that's over a 4-year period.
Right.
In office.
But now, under a different government and different management system, you're seeing almost 1,000 people added annually to the program. And on top of that, there are several other programs. So, like the Empower program, where you develop a specific program for young men who probably had some issue or some phobia with being in the Imani, and you didn't leave them out. So I think it's clear for Grenadians to see, but we have to continue speaking about it. We have to continue letting people know. We have to show people that after Hurricane Ivan, when the government and people of mainland China promised this country 2,000 homes, these are things that we can't forget. 2,000 homes, low-income houses that our people need. And they said, look, under the condition, we're going to build at our cost, but you must provide the land and the infrastructure. So wherever you get the land for us to build, and we want to build these houses, a little village, not a single house here and one in Grenada and one over there. Get an area that can hold, 100 units, 200 units, put in the roads, bring in the water, bring in electricity. The government was able to find 3 sites up front. We had Marquis, that's in St. Andrews. We had some in Frequente, in Georgia, and of course in Mount Roche. 336 houses were constructed. When the NDC came into office, all that they needed to do was the finishing touches, ensure that the water came in, that the plumbing was completed, the electrical works, and distribute the houses. They spent 4 years in office. They did not do a thing and was not able to distribute not even one house. But the same people that are talking about how much love they have for Grenadians now and all sorts of things that I don't even want to get in now, turn around and say to the Chinese, look, on that promise of 2,000 houses, we do not believe that the Grenadian people need and can utilize 2,000 houses. So we have started. We have 336. Give us the balance to make up 1,000 and give us the cost, the dollars and cents that you were going to spend to build the additional 1,000. Yes? So in other words, they say, let's cut it by half. You promised 2,000, we don't want 2,000. We don't need 2,000. We'll take 1,000. 336 already built. The next 600 plus, build that and give us in cash the value of that other 1,000 houses. We saw the new National Party came back into office in 2013. And having done that, what has happened? We have provided, again, the lands, the infrastructure at 5 different sites. And 600 plus houses will be delivered sooner, maybe by the early part of next year, while there's still another 1,000 to be built for the benefit of the Grenadian people. Make the comparison. So for your question, Devon, I can go on to give a lot of instances that is making the difference between what is happening now, what wasn't happening then, and what was happening before.
I really wanted you to establish that, as to...
And folks, well, if I not quite, listening. Folks, we've been joined by Senator, the Honorable Judd Cadet. Good morning to you, Senator Cadet. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Senator. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to our General Secretary, Honorable Roland Bola. Good morning to you, Devon, and good morning to all the listeners.
Yeah, we were discussing some figures under the GUP program. Now, what I could confirm is that in total, 2,485 trainees over the 4.5-year period were placed under the GUP program. In 2009, 655. In 2010, 119. In 2011, 1,411. And in 2012, 300. I remember it was a 2-year program, so you had people rotating out of the program. Now, this comes on the heels, though. After you sent home 2,000 Imani trainees in 2008, you promised them you wouldn't send them home, and you sent home 2,000 Imani trainees. And we are not speaking about the hundreds of others that were sent home from the program. Oh boy, why am I saying GYI? Not the GYI. There was that program that had been established. There were several training centers around the island in 2008, just prior to the election, where individuals could have gone, they learned to sew, or they learned... Right. There were different centers established. One was in St. Patrick. I know there was one somewhere in St. John or so on. The name of the program is slipping me right now, and I often wear the T-shirt with it still, the white T-shirt with it still, through the Ministry of Education. And some of these people receiving a stipend.
Yes.
They were sent home. So you're not just speaking about the 2,000 Imani. You're speaking about all the people that were under that program, GTEP, the GTEP program.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was crashed.
Yep.
And
you had the Ministry of Education.
Because we speak about the 2,000 Imani, we don't speak about the GTEP people, and there were lots of them that were doing technical training that were sent home, plus the staff in the Ministry of Youth, plus people in different ministries that were sent home during that period of time. So they never even came close to replacing the number of people that were sent home during their period of time. And what did the new National Party do? In 2013, I think we ended up with close to 3,000 people under the program. Before the end of 2013, we ended up with close to 3,000
because
people.
We kept what was there to make their time. They weren't sent home.
So we're not even counting them in the 3,000.
Yeah, and then you brought in.
Yeah. The approach was totally different. The approach at the NDC was, whether you had, and I know many people, some of them outside of Grenada now, that had a year or 2 years remaining on the Imani program, that were just given a letter and said, go home. That was it. But what did we do? We let the people who had a year or 6 months or whatever time complete your time under the GUP program. Complete your time. So the approach was totally different. Totally different. So that's the figures in relation to that. I know you spoke about the Chinese housing, and in case anybody wants to say that Honorable Roland Bola was lying.
Brothers and sisters, in 2008, after receiving the instrument to be your Minister for Youth, Empowerment, Sports and Culture, I did make mention to the general public in Grenada and also to the people in the diaspora that I came upon a document that would have spoken to and gave some details on the construction, or the design and the construction of a national stadium, i.e. track and field and football. I can also recall that during that process of 2008, or during the period of 2008 in 2009, myself and the policy advisor at the time, Brother Fullerton, would have visited the Chinese ambassador on 4 different occasions with 4 different permanent secretaries to discuss the issue of the National Stadium. And brothers and sisters, as the record will show, that the ambassador at the time said to us in uncertain terms that he cannot honor what we brought forward to him because there was no signed deal on the stadium. And that was the truth then, and it is still today. So we proceed through the guidance of the cabinet, and if I may state here, there was one senator, Senator Glenn Noel, who was the minister responsible for housing, made mention to the cabinet of Grenada at the time in 2008 that it would have been a good idea if we asked the Chinese ambassador to defer on the housing project, and the monies that we would have saved from that, we're going to use it for the construction of the National Stadium. The Chinese ambassador would have agreed to the recommendation, and we proceeded. So in a nutshell, brothers and sisters, that would have been the genesis for the reconstruction of the National Track and Field and Football Stadium.
So, I mean, but how come the NNP was able to come in then and get the houses and the stadium? And within record time have the stadium completed,
yes,
and still be getting the houses completed now at this time?
Reconstruction of the houses, they are ongoing in at least 4 sites. We have St. Patrick's, which is most advanced. We have St. David's in Corinth.
Carriacou?
Carriacou was just last week. And I went there in Dumfries, and I saw, which again is at an advanced stage. Most of the structures are already up, 3-story.
I think we had to fly the drone.
Yeah.
We had to fly the drone.
Story buildings. And they have only recently started in Boucherjou. They're into foundations and, things like that. And there's a 5th site, because it's 5 sites. So we have Carriacou, we have Boucherjou, we have Corinth and St. David's, we have Sotes. And I am not absolutely sure whether it is St. Mark's or St. John's. I know that the Honorable Alvin W. was trying to find some lands in St. John's.
I think it has been settled now.
It has been settled.
I'm not sure on the area, but I know it's been settled now. So St. John's will be
St. John's will be the 5th site.
However,
Of course.
I think St. John's will be under the housing authority.
No. We're not talking about housing authority.
Not a housing authority yet. For the
Chinese
600 plus houses that they are going to be constructing in this phase, they will be on 5 sites. St. David's will be getting the largest amount, and then I think might be Boucherjou. St. David's, Boucherjou. I know St. Patrick's has gotten some. St. Patrick's is almost complete too. Not sure about the amount there. Carriacou. They are at an advanced stage. I'd say 70-75% completion in Carriacou. And then there's that new site, which you confirm now will be St. John's. To complete that.
Because St. John has never had a housing project since Columbus passed by here and the Caribs and Arawaks were running about going ooga. They never had a housing project in St. John.
That's a fact.
And the Honorable Alvin W. will go down in history as the MP who brought a housing project, the first housing project to the people of St. John's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that will be done. Now, when that is completed, as you heard the former Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture saying that the Chinese agreed with their proposal to cancel 1,000 of the houses and use the cash to go towards the construction of the athletic stadium. Now, we have seen under this administration, the New National Party, that has not been the case. The athletic stadium is already completed and had been in use and had received a grade, in terms of its class and quality. Houses are being built, and then the 3rd phase will start after those 5 sites. And I know for the third phase, because I was still in cabinet, when we agreed that in Dunfermline, which is within the constituency of St. Andrews Northeast that I once represented, when the third phase of housing, which will take up the second 1,000, that some of those houses will go in, because there's still some lands close to that housing scheme in Dunfermline. That would be a site for the third phase.
Now, somebody's just sent me a message saying that Devon is correct. The Housing Authority is doing the houses in St. John, and St. Mark will be having the Chinese housing. But there still will be a housing project being done in St. John's.
Right.
But just that, and again, that from some source who know.
Good.
So they're saying that St. John will be done by the Housing Authority, and St. Mark will be done by the Chinese.
So and that is why I said in the beginning, I am not sure, because I know there was a...
You said correct. You said it correct, Cus.
Between St. John's and St. Mark's. So now it's St. Mark's as the person clarify, but St. John's will be getting a housing project. All right. So...
But it says a difference now between the cabinet that exists between 2013 and now, the cabinets that have existed then, and the cabinet that existed between 2008 and 2013. Because if one cabinet is saying the only way for us to get A, B, and C done is to give up 1,000 houses and take the money and use it for something else, and the other cabinet is saying no, we want the houses and we want something else, and be able to get it and get it.
Because both
we are seeing the houses building.
But both were promised to us prior to 2008. I was Minister for Sports before 2008, and I know for a fact that designs were being done. I know for a fact that there was a team of over 20-something Chinese nationals that came here, engineers, architects, and different people, to look at the site and what remained, and they were crunching numbers, what size we should build. I remember we had the Athletic Association and Football Association, and all of the associations come out. Clearly, Ms. Vida Bruno at the time was the PS in the Ministry of Sports, and we had a week-long session of meetings, trying to finalize on designs and numbers and, where you wanted players to sit and covered areas and stands, and all those things were being discussed. So to me, it was shocking when I heard the revelation that the people and government of China said they couldn't do 2 projects at the same time. When those things...
Well, we could go back to Mr. Simmons again and hear what he had to say earlier about the Chinese stadium and all of this thing, he said.
Physical infrastructure investment in sport, youth, and culture throughout the nation. The rebuilding of the track and field stadium, and we know that the plans are already drawn up by the former administration, and we say thank you very much. The Chinese have committed to rebuild the stadium. We say thank you very much, China. So very soon, we will be seeing the rebuilding of our national track and field stadium. The rebuilding of the cultural center at Simoon, the rebuilding, and work is already in progress, the rebuilding of the youth center at Monroe's in St. George's, the development of Progress and Cuthbert Peters Park,
Well, Honorable Bola, that was then Honorable Patrick Simmons speaking on the, I'll give you the exact date. That's speaking on the 21st of September 2008 at Medgar Evers College in the United States.
Okay. So just those 2 pieces that you played, the previous one and now this one. Now, in the previous one, he said, let's remember, that on 4 separate occasions, salient point, with 4 different permanent secretaries, his technical advisor, who at the time who was Mr. Fullerton, and himself would have visited the Chinese ambassador, who said they could not honor what they were bringing before them, because there was no signed document. There was no, in other words, there was no arrangement to build an athletic stadium. We probably spoke about it, but there was no arrangement. But here, he's saying, thank you to the previous administration, because the plans were already drawn up. Who drew the plans? The Chinese, not the Grenadian people. You know. But why would you draw plans to construct something that you had no agreement to build? So it shows you the contradiction. It tells you why, Devon, for your question, that you could not have progress taking place, and the economy couldn't grow, the country and people could not move forward, because there was too much confusion in the minds of the leadership at the time. They weren't sure whether they had an agreement or they didn't have.
But Progress Park couldn't even progress.
And I think he said something else about that.
He spoke about Progress Park, and I know,
Cuthbert Peters,
as Minister of Sport, just prior to July 8, 2008, you already had secured funding for the lighting of playing fields and everything.
But not just that.
If a person looks back at the budget for 2007 and 2008, they'll see the line item for the lighting of playing fields.
Not just that, Brother Sheldon. And maybe you don't have the clipping for that. This man stood up in Parliament and spoke about some funding that we secured through a county cricket club, Surrey, I think it was, from England, to start the construction of the pavilion in Progress Park, right? Instructions was clearly given by the cabinet to the PS at the time that those funds should not go into the consolidated funds, but that they should, with the accountant general, set up a special account, because that was specific for the start of work. We had a Cuban engineer that was looking at designs and architectural drawing as to what we wanted and where we wanted some of the things. We were about to move into consultation with the people and to seek additional funding, because what we got was only going to start. It could not give us the pavilion and so on, sitting areas in its entirety. That gentleman stood up in Parliament and said, Mr. Speaker, we may have to ask the former Minister of Sports, at that time indicating to me, what has happened to that money? Because everywhere they look, they couldn't see it. Right? I didn't respond publicly, but for people who spoke to me, I tell them, maybe ask him to get a glasses and go down to the Ministry of Finance, because the funds was there. What eventually happened? They put up 2 pieces of concrete structure. It's still there in Progress Park.
I remember it.
Uncovered. People wasn't even sitting on it. You know what they used to do? When they go there to a function, they would stand underneath, because the concrete was too hot for people to sit in the burning sun. No covering. That's what he used the money then to do. The same money that he said he couldn't see. To ask Roland Bowler where that money went. Giving an impression then to the public that we got some funding and we might have otherwise utilize it. Yeah?
Imputing improper motives in the House.
Of course. Exactly so. Imputing improper motives. So,
but it just goes to show the comparisons between that period of time and what has taken place and what continues to take place now. Yes, there are other factors that help, for instance, when it comes to yachting tourism, that the insurance companies are now saying, go Grenada. They're telling the yachties, listen, you have to safeguard your vessel in the Caribbean during the hurricane season. Go to Grenada. They're at the bottom of the hurricane belt, and they're not far south enough to be having problems with pirates. You have 7 fishermen gone missing in Trinidad, pirate attack, and not from the Spanish Main, from people in Trinidad itself who have attacked these guys. They've found, I think, about 5 of the bodies so far, and they're still looking for the final 2. These guys, they were killed, and their boats taken, and they're tossed into the water, and they drowned. And they're telling the yachties, we had an incident just a few months ago with a boat that had to come up here and riddled with bullets because they were attacked by a vessel in Trinidadian waters. So the insurance companies are saying to the yachties, go to Grenada. And that is why when you look now at the same Port Louis that I realize I've seen some of them linemen there when I pass by my good partner Randy. I just pass by Randy every now and again.
They eating lunch and dinner.
Man, they go in and drink red wine in the night too. So
Well,
they're
that's
living
good.
there.
That's good,
But
yeah.
you're seeing the expansion of, and a lot of people have noticed this, but Port Louis has expanded because
Yeah, recently they have
done
put in
that.
a lot more boats because they're
Yeah.
getting a lot more yachts coming
it's,
in.
in
On
fact,
both
every
sides.
berth is already assigned.
Yeah.
Every single one that they've put in. And together with them, remember, just across the way, you have the Grenada Yacht Club.
Yes,
And
they
it's the
too have
exact
done-
same story.
They have done
They-
tremendous amount of expansion and upgrading.
And every boat is already taken through to the end of the hurricane season.
Right. But while you're speaking about just those two right here, Sheldon, there's several other areas where yachties can go. And there just been that new one in the Caribbean area down there.
Yeah.
What we call it?
Clark's Bay.
Clark's Bay.
Mhm.
I mean,
The big one.
Mr. Glass and the team down
Kelly
there.
Glass.
Yeah.
I mean, millions of dollars.
And that
And-
was only done when the new National Party came
Came into
in.
office.
The negotiation, everything took place like clockwork.
And these are things that our opponents have all been condemning. I mean, and they are now providing employment, you know, and this is an area where people can make tremendous dollars. And you're talking about fiberglassing those boats and doing repairs and so on. Young Grenadians are getting more and more into that.
Look at the fuel charge. There's one boat that came in, and it took 4 days to fill it. 4 days. That's the amount of fuel that particular was a big vessel, and it took its fuel here in Grenada 4 days to fill it. Each one of these boats that's filling, Nazim, on average, how much you think they spend on average for one of the yachts and so to fill up on fuel that they're spending in the Grenadian economy just on fuel? Tens of thousands of dollars, isn't it? $30 to $40,000 just to fill up on fuel. And we're not
fuel.
speaking about
They pay for water.
when they take water and they go to Foodland and they
Yeah,
shop, or they go to Real
yeah,
Value and
yeah,
they shop, or they
yeah.
go to Andals and they shop to restock, or they contact independence agencies for some wholesale. We're not even speaking about that. Thousands of dollars again. Plus, there are many young, middle-aged and older Grenadians who earn a proper living through cleaning those boats. Going and wiping down and cleaning the boats, and not even those that fix it. We're even talking about the construction
repairs.
and the repairs. But those who go and they clean the boats. I'm in some of the yachting forums, and they always consider Grenada to be one of the safest places to be. Safest. When you see incidents, that's up the road. You're talking up the road, but Grenada is always considered to be so safe. And even Carriacou, do you have in Tyrrell
Oh,
Bay?
yeah.
You have in Tyrrell Bay, that
And I
development
was
taking
there,
place
like
there?
I tell you, a week ago, and there are numbers that you're seeing there. But again, it speaks volume. That same conversation now speaks volume to the fact that our people must be of that level of consciousness to understand that security is not just a word, but it is something that has the power to put money in your pocket. Grenada is being hailed throughout the world. Some time ago, there was one of the magazines, I think it was a travel magazine, that listed Grenada in the top 10 safest countries where you can go and build a retirement home. Now, if that encourages Europeans and Americans and so to come to Grenada to retire, it means job for people in construction, jobs for our truckers, more sale for our hardware, jobs for our more middle-aged and senior people to do gardening. And because these people who are quote-unquote millionaires that come to build a retirement house, they don't have time to pick up a rake in the morning time and rake a couple of leaves. They hire someone to do that. They hire someone to cook. They hire someone to clean. So you're providing more jobs. So the peace and security of your country, it is not something that you take for granted. And we must give a lot of kudos to our Minister for National Security, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, because of the kind of investment that has been made in the Royal Grenada Police Service. I mean, vehicles and all other sorts of things they outfit them with. Only this week, I think, or last week, they had this launch. While it is a regional project funded by USAID, and so where they are now going digital to take information and so the records.
So you ain't going in the police station and meet them big hardcover book. Where did us get them book, man? That a ship that's
special made.
From
Lord.
the 50, that come
But
from
Senator Cadet, with all of this taking place, though, young people stand to benefit significantly from all of this. And I know that within the Ministry of Youth and Sport, they have been focusing a lot on some non-traditional areas. You have guys who are right now doing some training in land surveying and heavy equipment repair and all these sort of things. Also, as Honorable Bola mentioned earlier, he mentioned that area of scholarship. And I know you also at SGU, so you're seeing the faces of many young Grenadians down there. What do you have to say about that aspect of what government is doing for the education of our young people? And so we had several who were in the Imani graduating just last week. We had some graduating who were under Imani but graduated from TAMCC, and before that from SGU with degrees.
Well, I mean, this is commendable, Senator. I must say that the reason that I've been late this morning is the fact that I visited the Her Majesty prison this morning. They had a function there, Project Reach and Project Fly. Project Fly is one of the programs that they have, the ministry would have initiated in communities like Moncton and I think Rose Hill.
Rose Hill was the first.
Yeah, Rose Hill was the first. So they have this joint session this morning, and these individuals are being trained in different skill areas. So I reached late this morning because I came from this.
You didn't reach late, you reached on time.
Yeah, right, because of the ceremony that they had there. But interestingly, I need to note that the government is investing considerably amount in youth training and youth development. And this is important because when you look at our economy and where we came from, it's amazing how this was done. And while bringing the economy back, because you had to take some stringent measures, you did not give up on not investing in our people. So, for example, you had to ensure that you had to put some measures in place. You had a homegrown economic program, and all that was happening. But at the same time, you had investment was soaring. More money was invested in youth development. More scholarship ever have been seen. I think over 1,500 scholarship was seen within the last 5-year period. So it says that the government has been very visionary in the approach towards development. But what is important to note is the fact that young people have to see these opportunities because, as again, government can invest as much resources as they would like, but it is the youth that have to take the opportunity and make good use of it. And what I've seen, a lot of them are taking advantage of this opportunity. I've seen young persons in my community, even in my parish, that I know that someone are able to afford to go to TAMCC. I know they're graduating.
Poor people, children.
Yeah, one of my friends, she was unable to go to TAMCC. She was unable to attend TAMCC because of the economic situation. She graduated at the last graduation that they had, and even in SU, I'm seeing it every day that a lot of young persons that were unable to. That was far-fetched. This was a far-fetched dream. They're now achieving that. So the government must be commended for that strategic approach that they're continue to invest in young persons. I don't know how one can say that government programs are not contributing to the development of young person. I don't know how one can actually conceive of that, because you're looking at it. I mean, education is important. And at the same time, they're training young persons in areas that we believe that the country can benefit from, like hospitality. We have more hotels coming. Mm-hmm. We have more investment coming. We have a situation that in some cases we lack the skilled laborers. And government is saying, listen, wait, let's establish skill centers so that we can train a young person so that they can be prepared for those opportunities. Mm-hmm. These are visionary approach, and the government must be commended for those investments.
Let me ask this question here then. Yes, government is preparing persons for the workplace. Mm-hmm. But what about preparing persons to own their own businesses? Why should I go to work in a hotel serving food or and I have no problem with doing these things. I think any work like that is decent work, and people are doing an honest day's work. So, whether it's serving food or mixing drinks or cooking the food or so on, why need I do that when I could be the person that's providing a business outside of the hotel, fixing all the televisions, doing the gardening services for them as a contract, and so on. So I own my own company, providing a service to them. Are young people starting to look into that direction? Because I think we have a problem within the region, not just Grenada, of people who they go through the school system to become workers and not entrepreneurs, not business owners.
I think we're seeing that now. And sometimes it's a result of crisis. Do normally create those sort of things in the sense that one believe, as you have a much more educated society, one realize that they have to have the A game. One to find employment, and the other you realize that you start seeing opportunities that you can take advantage of. And one of the discussions commonly among young persons is entrepreneurship. There are a lot of reasons. We have seen the emergence of technology as a platform for economic empowerment. And you have seen areas that you believe that you can capitalize on as a youth. And that is, a lot of young persons has been focusing on starting their own business. In fact, the Ministry of Youth, the government saw that as an opportunity as well. And that's why they decided to start to launch the WeiVybz. It's not just having the idea, but they're saying, listen, we have to support you. We have to give you the tools. We have to let you know that business is just not simple having the idea. I mean, when I was in TAMCC, I remember one of my lecturers said to me, yes, you can have the idea, but you need the resources. But not only, you may have the idea and the resources, but you need to understand how to manage. So that is what government recognize that yes, last year we would have given this amount of money towards young people starting their businesses. We probably would have realized that there were some areas young people probably struggled with, but we don't want them to struggle. We want to give them that opportunity, that shoulder, that when they start the business, they have everything sorted out. They understand what they're getting themselves involved with, not just an execution of an idea, but also managing the resources that you have and marketing the business. And that is what WeiVybz is currently doing. So young people have that support system, not just the financial, but the support system as it relates to running the organization.
I want to flip, because we're into the final few minutes for today, but I want to flip on to a political question. And I want to ask this of you, Honorable Bola, and at the same time of Devon, and at the same time of you, Senator Cadet. Is the NDC of 2019 running away from the NDC of 2008 to 2018? Because I realized that nobody who was a cabinet minister during that period of time is an active caretaker or frontliner within the NDC right now. And it seems as though, even considering things like what we played earlier, that the NDC is trying to distance itself totally from their period in governance. The political organization is trying to distance themselves from the record of failure between 2008 and 2013, and then the record of failure politically between 2008 and 2018. Devon, you were active there. I think the only person who was a government minister that's there right now is Glenn Noel. And we all know that he had a serious challenge out from Tevin Andrew in Carriacou, who was ordered to stand down by the elders of the party, was ordered to stand down, who put out his notice saying, well, I had to support 11 different constituencies, but I'm going to back out from the general secretary race. Was general secretary?
Yes.
Race. And you realize outside of him, who else as a frontliner right now was part of the governance structure? Philip Alexander was an advisor in the Prime Minister's ministry. And believe me, we're going to be having a discussion about that period of time. And Mr. Alexander, while you were advisor in the Prime Minister's ministry, we'll be having a serious discussion about that. Yeah?
But,
yeah.
Before Mr. Bola even just answer that, I just wanted to ask, is there an NDC of 2019?
Well, it's confusing because you hear 1 minute that they have a PRO, and that Randall Robinson stepped down as the PRO, and that you have the acting PRO, interim PRO,
yes, correct.
and then all of a sudden you realize the interim PRO like he gone in somewhere or something because you ain't seen him, and you see Mr. Randall Robinson back out in front again.
But the interim PRO had made it absolutely clear in the program that he's preparing himself to run for leadership when the next convention, if it comes off.
Because there's an interim leader too.
So he's been muted. It seems as though what is being taking place there is he's been muted.
Okay. So if we should go back to the question, and I can make an attempt to answer it, because the truth is, I am. It's something like what they refer to as an oxymoron to me. A bittersweet moment. I am kind of happy in one way where the NDC is at this moment, but saddened in another way because, and I'll explain why I say so. The position that they are now in sort of gives the NNP, as a political organization speaking now, an opportunity to spread its wings, out as much as it possibly can. Not too thin, but as far and wide as you can, because there seem to be no obstacle in the way politically for NNP at this time. Saddened though, because I believe where and when you have a formidable opponent or opposition, it keeps you in check. Because let's face it, brothers, as good intention as we may all be, and I want to be very frank with that, there are times when the checks and balances are not being operated as they should, when the levers are not being pulled. Sometimes we run away because the sailing is smooth. And sometimes we are not even conscious of the fact that, so I'm saddened by that fact. However, though, I think the NDC is in the best place for your very first part of the question to make an open statement to say whether what exists as an NDC today is part and parcel of what was there before, or is it a new? Because even the NDC of 2008 and upwards, there were still, in my mind and from the utterances, some level of contradiction and confusion. Because we heard in those era about the conservative and the progressive. That was how they projected themselves, as though there were two teams, there were two sides, there were two fractions. There were the progressive, who at the time they felt were the newcomers, the ones with the more modern ideas, and the ones that was prepared to take the party forward. And then you had the conservative, as they call them, who were the old school type, the foundation members, who I understand still have a few of them around. And so now we do not know if there has been a transition, whether all of the progressive have left the conservative behind, or there is now a mix of progressive and conservative that is forming something new, modernized. I'm really not sure.
Are we talking about the NDC?
well, I mean, that's what the question was about, and I'm trying to put some kind of perspective, taking it from back then to present, but it's very difficult to determine what is really happening, and it is not much of our business really. We need to know at the same time, because
I'm making it my business.
Yes, we need to know. We need to know because if you are a serious political party, like anything else, you would want to know where your opponent is, what's up with them, what are they planning, what are they doing. It's part of your business to know, because that will determine how you move forward and what pace and everything else. So that's why I said it's a kind of bittersweet moment for me. Yes,
I see them as what I'd like to label, and there are a few of them in the Caribbean, a Kobo political party.
Well,
and I'll make no apology for that.
Kobo,
you know when a Kobo does come out?
Kobo, from what I know, a Kobo to be is a kind of bird we call so. I don't know
if
that's
what exactly to. Yeah, a Kobo.
And it's not a bird that I would like to be associated with.
I think they are Kobo political
so
party.
They grab at anything that comes.
All they can deal with is rubbish. And anything negative, that's the only time they come out. They can't come out and say anything positive. So it's a Kobo political party. We have a few within the region, and I think if you have to look in a dictionary at a Kobo political party, it's the NDC of Grenada.
Okay.
But anyway, Senator, could I stay away from that statement?
Well, actually, what I'm going to say, I'm not going to speak directly as it relates to the NDC. I think as a party, we are focusing on what we have to get done. I'm going to speak basically the achievement of what I think the youth arm of the New National Party have been making over the last couple months. And we're mainly focusing on how do we get young persons involved in the politics, how do we get young persons be a part of the decision-making process. Because we had a situation in the last election, we cannot forget that, where we have a huge number of persons that did not cast the ballot. And there may be many reasons why this may be the case, but we want to continuously engage young persons. I believe while we have, yes, more young persons graduating with degrees, but we should see less in that figure, in the sense less persons, more persons participating in the electoral process. So we are mainly focusing on engaging young persons in the politics. Letting them know what the government is doing, letting them know that this party that is in government right now is the best party to run this country. Whatever other party, whether it be an opposition or not, or a pressure group that is being formed, I mean, that's their task to figure out how they decide to put their team together. It will be good for us to know, but we're not going to hold anything back. We're not going to hold anything back towards getting our work done. At this point in time, I think the NNP Youth Arm is doing a great job. You
all had several meetings recently. I know the library had court this week.
We had one yesterday in the library. We had another. We had Tuesday. Had in St. John's. And the feedback that we're getting is quite positive with young persons. Wonderful. More young persons is coming forward as it relates to being frontline supporters. I mean, it's quite clear that we have the majority of youth support. That's not a question. But it's getting them involved in the party and getting them involved in the frontline politics. That is the task that we...
And I think the New National Party has a history of involving young people in the politics. I mean, I remember a fellow back in 2003 named Roland Bola. And he was a young fella at the point in time. He still is a young fella now. And he was involved and so on.
He's a senior youth now.
He's a senior youth. I'll categorize you as that.
And a young one from Carriacou too.
Yeah.
Way back in the 19...
Mr. Clement. Yes, Mr. Tobias Clement. And several other persons. The Honorable Emlyn Pierre, the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis, the Honorable Kendra Mathurin Stewart. And that's just to name a few. You had many people who are within their 20s and 30s. You had former Senator Devon Romain. So you had several young people, Dwight Hosford.
Yeah, and presently you have Senator Judd Cadet. And not too long ago we had Katisha, not too long ago we had a youthful Senator Sheldon Scott, and so the NNP has a record.
Yes.
Bringing in young people, putting them there in the decision-making process. And
I think that separates or differentiates the two parties over the years. The involvement of young people, right?
Genuine involvement.
And
genuine.
To bring up or to flip the party instead of utilizing the old stalwarts and having them dictate as to where the party goes. That is the situation with NDC.
Well, I must say the interesting thing about being part of being in the party is the fact that we look at it from a holistic point of view. As I always tell people, when we talk about youth, don't look at youth in an exclusive way. In other words, development shouldn't just be talking about youth. Development has to involve everybody. So the youth should have a voice on the table. The senior person should have a voice on the table. The women should have a voice on the table. It's not only youth. And that's the approach I see the party has taken over the years. Always encourage youth to be part of the decision, and that is great.
And Grenada, you mentioned women. Grenada continues to rank, as long as NNP is in office, always continues to rank as having one of the highest amount of women in the governance structure. I mean, not just speaking in the parliament, but even at the ministerial senior levels as permanent secretaries and SAOs and so on, within the governance structure, Grenada continues to rank very highly. I think we're always in the top 10, top 5 at times.
Top 5, actually.
Yeah.
I think we was ranking second.
Yeah. That wasn't the case during the NDC period.
No, we
of the recent time. I think there were only 2 ahead of. Someone said Guyana had, in terms of percentage, about 1 or 2%. When you did, not by numbers now, because the Parliament of Guyana is much bigger than Grenada.
Yeah.
But when you work it out in percentage from, they were, I think, 2% higher than us, and there were one other country that was ahead of us.
Yeah. So Grenada continues to rank, and this has been going on since 1995 coming up. We've always been ranking pretty highly when it comes to involvement of women, and now also involvement of youth. And many of our youth go on. I think right now the chair of the Caribbean Democratic Youth Union is a Grenadian, Mr. Khalis.
Well. We have several others.
Mr. Roy Denby Harry at a point in time held a Commonwealth portfolio. We had Mr. Norman Gilbert in the past holding a Commonwealth portfolio as well. So we have youth who have always been there on the regional, international stage. And as we closing off, I'd like to congratulate you, Senator.
Oh.
Yeah,
Thank you so
on your recent achievement with the Caribbean Democratic Union as being one of the people who has been selected for your paper on. The paper was in relation to...
it's a policy paper.
Policy
it was
paper
4
on
different areas. We had gender equality, youth participation and governance. You also had UK-Caribbean relations as relates to opportunity, trading opportunities, and then I did one
post-Brexit.
Post-Brexit.
Yes.
And then we had the final category, which was on climate change being an existential threat for development in the Caribbean. And I wrote on the climate change one. Mainly reason I chose the climate change topic. One, last semester in SU, I did a scientific paper. I did a research piece on the influence of climate change on small island developing states. So there I would have there were some findings of our small economy, our geographic space, small population, and our small economy that doesn't have economic specialization. And so from that finding, I decided, you know what, here's an opportunity to write a paper on policy suggestions on how we think Caribbean states should work towards preparing for the climate change. And climate change it provides a unique opportunity for the Caribbean to have serious development as well, towards better infrastructure, towards better preparedness opportunity, towards the economy, because the Caribbean economy borrow a lot. And Grenada serves as a perfect example. As well with the homegrown program, which how we're able to drop the debt to GDP ratio. So my people talk about building resilience. So in the 3 sectors, in economy, social, and physical, building resilience in those areas. But I must say that I must give the party credit for the support. I would not have written this paper if it wasn't the support for the party. And Honorable Senator Steele was great support to me in writing this paper. In fact, I remember the first one that I wrote, he had so much red pens on it that I had to go back and start writing again. And I know Senator Steele is very hard on you when it comes to writing and stuff. So I want to give credit to Senator Steele for his support as related to writing on the paper, and as well to the party for the support as well.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Let me just spin in one little thing with George here, because what he have said is so important as it relates to our small economy, small population, geographical space, and so that it hinders us from pushing forward as much as we want to. But just to press in here, that the threat of climate change does not affect us any less than any one of the larger economies, and so while we have all those things working against us,
right?
Yes, we face the same impact from climate change as any other country. Our emission of greenhouse gases and so is negligible, but the impact is just as bad as any other country. So that's why we must be seen as special, and our people must take a greater interest in the issue of climate change.
Folks, we kind of go over our time, but I know the stations, because of what happened this morning, will not run off on us. So I just want to give two sets of information quickly before we go and then give our guests a chance to close. We had the question of how many units were being built in the housing projects. Just to let people know, Dumfries in Carriacou, 100 units. Diamond in St. Mark, 130. The Villa in St. Patrick, 70. Beaujeu, 121. And Corinth in St. David taking the lion's share, 226, for a total of 647 units being built. All right. And I just received, I don't know if they're listening, I received a release from the GTA that says the mid-year performance is trending in a positive direction. Right? On the heels of double-digit growth and landmark total visitor arrival of 528,077 people in 2018, the Grenada Tourism Authority is pleased to report positive growth in tourist total visitor arrivals of 1% for the first half of 2019. The destination welcomed a total of 318,559 visitors between January to June, compared to 3,114,916 for the same period, a 1.155% growth. They also spoke of a 1.33% increase in cruise visitors. That's up to 223,051 for the period. All right. And the yachting sector, it remained flat, but they're saying as well with Camper Nicholson expanding their berths by 50% to accommodate more yachts for the winter season and so on. And we already see that they kind of cram down there as it is right now. So we expect the figures in the yachting industry to improve as well.
Yep.
So we're seeing that total revenue generated for the period was $233,835,812 in the destination. Don't forget the $12 at the end. Somebody spend the $12. We had to put it in.
Yes.
So $233,835,812.
No
right?
cents. Dollars
Yeah,
alone.
dollars. We make sure and we put that in. Honorable Bowler, we know the NNP is having their yearly activity next week, Saturday. Give us a little rundown as we close.
All day fet, I think the whole of Grenada should know that by now. You spend $10 for a ticket, and that allows you food of all description and class. Every constituency normally provides and bring in. So you have all along in different categories. You have those with chicken, those with pork. You have those that have no chicken and no pork.
Rastafari.
All the time you have rice and peas, you have pea soup, we have fish stewed, fish fry, we have curry, mutton, both goat and one of them is not mutton, sheep is mutton.
I think one will fail.
Goat, no. Goat is called chivon. Look it up in the dictionary, Devon.
Yeah,
Don't look at me as though I know what I'm talking
That's
about.
homework.
Once it's not fish.
Yeah. You would have pork, we'd have barbecue, different types. We have a solid bar, we'd have performances. One of the things I know that was being spoken about, and I cannot confirm if they have it, they will be having it. There was some kind of consideration by the planning committee to ask some of the mass bands that will be in the fancy mass section or categories to probably portray a couple of their costumes during the process, because it's called the NNP All Day Fete. We want to start serving food 12 o'clock from. All of the constituencies have said to us that 11:30 as the latest they will deliver their food. So by 12 o'clock we should start serving, and it goes on until late, and it's Saturday the 3rd. Not this one coming, the very next one. So please, everyone, come out right here in the big yard in Mount Helicon. I know there's an ad out, there are posters out, the tickets are all out. As a matter of fact, there's a constituency in the north, St. Patrick's West, who have not only sold all of the tickets already that they got, but they have already brought in all of the funds that they need to pay for the tickets. So we're moving on, and we invite everyone. It's a time to meet and greet, to meet all your NNP colleagues. And even if you're not an NNP, still come, because it's a nice time we're going to be having. If you don't feel comfortable where you are because you're not sure what your party is or what they're doing or where they're going, come here on the 3rd. We'll welcome you. That house is never filled.
No Kubo party.
There's always room for more people. So we welcome everyone, Saturday the 3rd.
Senator Cadet, I'm going to give the final word to you, and here's what I'm going to ask you to do. We have the Soca Monarch semi-finals tonight. We have the Groovy Monarch last night. We have the Calypso semi-finals on Sunday. We have St. Mark activities taking place this Saturday, and many other peripheral activities taking place between now and next week when we intend to see you again. What do you have to say to the young people as they go on out there? We've seen a lot of accidents, all kind of thing happening, and so some kind of out-of-the-way behaviors. What do you have to say to the young people of Grenada as we close the program today, and they're going out, they're getting ready right now, they're choosing their clothes, they're buying their clothes for later and thing, talk to them.
And I guess as well, is it which side are you leaning on?
Yeah,
but I would say to the to the youth out there, I just want to say that play it safe this carnival. I know it's a time of the year when alcohol it seems to be one of the prominent thing in your face, and usually when you consume alcohol, you lose touch of yourself. Sometimes you don't know yourself. You behave in a particular way that sometimes you at the end you regret. So I want to tell the youth there that don't be very careful of during the season. Ensure that if you're consuming alcohol, you have a designated driver, and know your limits. Do not consume to the point of you becoming drunk. Do not consume to the point where you no longer know yourself, or where you start behaving in a particular way that at the end you might see your video on Facebook, on social media, and you start regretting. Carnival is a good time. It's a time that you meet people. I also want to say as well, be very mindful of your sexual behavior, because that's a very time again that people tend to be very explicit, and as a result you may have a situation that you may be contact of some particular sexual transmitted disease. So if there is a case that you may get yourself involved in such, I would want to say be very careful. Protect yourself. Do not consume too much alcohol. And as well, spend what you can handle. Do not go spending resources that you do not have. And at the end of the carnival, you remember you have school, your life continues as normal, and you don't want a situation that you're far broke and your life is far different than before it started. So that will be my simple advice to all the youth there, to play it safe this carnival. And yes, you could have clean fun as well. Not all fun has to be as what we may consider to be dirty.
Mm-hmm. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. And everything you say, everything you do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you.
And not about you.
Love each and every one of you. I don't know which side you're leaning on.
Only the
Me ask them who are you waiting on? They say they waiting on the youth for the
We have done it again in this, the era of greatness with the biggest white.
We bring the most lights.
Watch greatness unfold with Mr. Killer, Wasways, and Lava Man, and more of Grenada's best, featuring headliner Marshall Montano and the Monk Band.
We great, absolutely.
Be at the National Cricket Stadium on Saturday, August 10th. Get your tickets now from GoToFed.com and all Sunshine Promotions box offices. The biggest white. It's where greatness lives.
We are the greatest.
Ministry of Agriculture makes more plants available to farmers as plant distribution season begins. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Thursday, July 25th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The Ministry of Agriculture is making more plants available to the public despite the challenges of the prolonged dry period. The annual plant distribution season began on Thursday with a variety from which farmers can choose. Details in this report by Mina Buka.
I take great pleasure in declaring this season open, and I wish you farmers all the best.
With the onset of the 2019 rainy season, the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands opened the 2019 plant distribution season. The ministry aims during the period to provide 40,002 plants to local farmers, some of who have completed an application process earlier on in 2019. This year, the focus will include crops such as soursop, nutmeg, and cocoa. The season commemorated with an opening ceremony at the Marable Plant Distribution Center on Thursday, July 25th. Minister of Agriculture and Lands, Honorable Yolande Bain Hosford, in her remarks, underscored the ministry's efforts to deliver high-quality planting material to the nation during the season.
The commencement of the plant distribution season is very significant as it provides the ministry with an opportunity to showcase the hard work of the workers at the various propagating stations. These workers' efforts are quite evident in the high-quality planting materials made available to the nation's hard-working farmers. It has always been my very strong belief that access to high-quality planting materials is a fundamental requirement in achieving success in crop farming.
Plants sold during the exercise are produced at the 4 different propagating stations located at Marable and Belong St. Andrew, Ashenden in St. David, and Maran in St. John. The ministry, through the plant distribution exercise, encourages farmers to re-establish fields and increase production of crops. Chief Agronomist with the Ministry of Agriculture, Ms. Shaira Baldio, says that the ministry has decided to increase the number of plants that will be made available to the public despite prolonged periods of drought. Ms. Baldio indicated the numbers that would be available per crop.
Now the plants we have available now include 11,583 cocoa plants, 9,232 soursop, 3,959 nutmeg, 1,454 mango, 1,066 avocado, 421 breadfruit, 321 golden apple, 225 coconuts, 2,191 minor spices, 4,040 ornamentals, and 5,510 minor fruits and other minor species. In the case of soursop, 5,000 would also be available by mid-August, another 5,000 early September, and we still have 5,000 seeds available for later demand.
The Marable Plant Distribution Center and other farm input services, which included Farm and Garden, Huggins, Renwick and Thompson, the Chinese Agricultural Mission, the Climate Smart Rural Enterprise Development Project (CIEP), used the opportunity to exhibit a number of their products at the event. The plant distribution drive will continue at the various distribution centers across the island. They include Marable on July 30th and 31st, and any time after that if plants are available for sale. Ashenden, July 30th through August 2nd, and after that on Thursdays only. Maran on July 30th and August 1st only. Plants available include soursop, avocado, mango, guava, breadnut, carambola, red and yellow plums, star apple, sugar apple, cinnamon, cocoa, and nutmeg. For the Ministry of Agriculture's Public Relations Unit, I am Mina Booker.
Thank you, Mina. Government has approved the establishment of a Development Planning Institute as it advances towards its National Sustainable Agenda 2030. The National Sustainable Development Plan 2030 was announced by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, during his presentation of the 2015 budget. The ultimate aim of the national plan is to improve the way we live, work, interact, and treat our natural environment. It envisions that by 2035, Grenada will be a resilient and prosperous nation, promoting human dignity. The final document for the Institute will be submitted by October 2019. During this week's post-cabinet briefing, Trade Minister Honorable Oliver Joseph said the Institute will coordinate, monitor and evaluate the implementation of Grenada's 2030 agenda to ensure that the plans made by government are realized by the scheduled time.
The first draft of this plan is in circulation, shared with stakeholders for the comment. It is the hope that by October, the final document will be ready so that the Minister of Finance could announce the plan in his budget presentation. Now, this Development Planning Institute will work as the coordinating body or the implementing agency for these development plans. Because so many times we have plans and there is no implementation plan or no particular ministry or department responsible for implementing this plan. After all this work have gone into the development of the plan, government want to ensure that we follow up on this plan by having a committed institution.
Public consultations were held, giving Grenadians the opportunity to share their views on the future of Grenada. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Every summer, the Spice Island of Grenada is transformed into the Caribbean's biggest party, Spice Man.
Coming down to Grenada.
Come experience the warmth of our people, trending theme fats, the revelry, the pageantry, and why we are the Jab Nation. The Kids Our Future shines on August 3rd in the Children's Carnival Frolic and the Junior Calypso Show. 7 beauties take center stage as the Queen of Carnival is crowned on majestic Thursday, August 8th. The prestigious Soca and Groovy Monarchs are crowned on Carnival Friday night, August 9th. Enjoy the pulsating rhythms of the Still Pan at the Junior and the Senior Panorama on Carnival Saturday, August 10th, and Real Steel, August 17th. The March Gras crowns the Calypso Monarch on Carnival Sunday, August 11th. 2 days of frolicking in the Caribbean sun kicks off on Monday morning, August 12th, with the biggest juve in the world, followed by pageant and Monday night mass. The creativity and splendor of our mass parades on the road Carnival Tuesday, August 13th. Join us in the Jab Nation of Grenada, August 8th to 12th for Spice Mass 2019. Many events, one carnival.
Welcome back. The Royal Grenada Police Force now has automated crime incident forms to complement its move towards more effective, accurate crime fighting. The automated software was launched on Wednesday as part of a USAID and UNDP Carriacou project, which seeks to develop the RGPF's Management Information System. The software is a combination of word processing and data processing that stores and retrieves information expeditiously. The forms will record incidents on a monthly and yearly basis to include information on the person making the report, the victim, suspects, and witnesses.
The incident report database will be used to record all reported incidents. And at the same time, it creates a registry with essential information, generating a statistic report allowing management of all incidents reported.
That was Police Officer Sally Moraine. The new system also has a GIS mapping system, which allows officers responding to an emergency to arrive using the quickest possible route. Officer Moraine is optimistic that the automated system will bridge the gaps within the force and will soon become the new normal for each police district throughout Grenada.
The daily routine of having to write all these information in the book, when you just enter it once, and when you enter this information once, you realize what's happening, huh? You enter the information once, and then you have your registry being created, you have your data, the statistics being formed automatically. So it will take a big chunk out of all the tedious writing. A system that will make life and reporting of all incidents on the island of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique way faster, way easier.
That story just ended the national report for today, Thursday, July 25th. Let's recap the top story. Ministry of Agriculture makes more plants available to farmers as plant distribution season begins. On behalf of everyone here at the Government Information Service who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Grenada's economy is heading for its 7th year of consistent growth, averaging over 5%. Unemployment was reduced by 20%, while debt to GDP ratio was reduced from 108% to 63.5%. NNP committed to the economic and social development of our people. NNP delivering on the promise. Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.